Kirin Rise University. I am Ed Cruz, and today our topic, very interesting subject, is on true motion. Now you might be wondering to yourself, what exactly is true motion? True motion is actually my own definition of everything that's involved when you do any particular motion. It could be from a punch, tan, bong, whatever. But to really understand the details in what you're doing. By the way, before we get into the subject, make sure you subscribe to any of the stuff below. Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, whatever. I'm really terrible at promoting this stuff. Anyway, by the way, thank you for all the comments and stuff like that. Also for subscribing and so forth. I like spending more of my time making the videos and so forth. So I'm pretty bad at promoting stuff. I'm working on it. All right. So today, to get into the subject of true motion and what that actually is, let's just take the simplest of motions that we have, and that's basically the punch, right? Just the general punch right here. So what exactly does that mean? True motion is basically everything that you need to do that's correct in the motion and what the end result and beginning results should be like, okay? So I'm going to use the punch as an example because you know that the punch is the mother motion of all of your hand techniques. If you can't do the punch, you can't do anything else right, okay? So the beginning part of any motion involves these particular steps. So for example, with the punch, right? If we take just the simple idea of the punch, the beginning motion of the punch has to be from a relaxed position. Now, you remember in Wing Chun, we define relaxed. People think relaxed means just limp, like a slush or a slug motion. No, it's not. Relaxed, basically, if you understand what it means, is tension that's evenly dispersed throughout. So in other words, if I have my fist like this, okay, this is the right tension. If I go like this, you may say this is a relaxed motion, but actually this section may be relaxed, but this actually has more tension. So the balance between that is incorrect. All right, so relaxed means the tension is properly in place, okay? So that means from here to my body, to my legs, everything's matched. So you want to make sure that's the beginning motion. Because think of it this way, if you're not relaxed, your initial motion should be go, right? Move right away. But if you're not relaxed, you have to relax in order to move. So that's basically 2 steps before you actually do your initial motion. So think of it this way, a very simple example. If you have someone who is running, okay, you have 3 people running side by side with each other. One person is basically in ready position. The other person is fully tight, and the other person is like very, very relaxed and limp like this, okay? If that's the case, if you say ready, set, go, the guy in the middle, he can take off right away. He's got the proper tension to move right away. The guy on the left who's fully relaxed, he can't just go right away. He has to basically inflate himself to give the right amount of muscle to basically take off. And the other guy on the other side, here, who's fully tense, he's tense, he can't just run right away. In order for him to move, he's got to relax, and then he can take off. So if you understand that concept first, you got to find the right balance of moving or positioning yourself when you initiate the punch. It doesn't matter if it's a punch or if it's anything else. All hand techniques follow the same function. And this concept also applies to body and legs and so forth. But let's break it down just to hand motion. Okay, so that's the initial true motion of that technique. So from here, when you have that position ready to go and you have that target, then that path that you actually have to take has to be clean. Why is that path so important? When you talk about true motion, you're talking about the least amount of muscle necessary to generate the maximum amount of force. That's the most efficient way, right? Think of that again. The least amount of muscle to generate the maximum amount of force, okay? Now, when we punch and when we do our motion in Wing Chun and we punch that way, there's a reason we punch that way. Because, yes, you can punch like this, karate, or you can do boxing or whatever style. Nothing wrong with that. You can do any kind of punch, varying degrees of how to punch. But if you understand the alignment and if you look at things from a Wing Chun perspective, we look at it from we don't look at not only the motion, we look at it from a more internal structural point of view. It's basically bone-to-bone connection, right? How do I make these bones move to use the least amount of muscle? So when I move this, when I use this position, the position uses the least amount of muscle. the motion uses the least amount of muscle, but the least amount of muscle to generate the maximum amount of force. That's what we're looking for, and that's what the true motion is. So if we're in a relaxed position number one, we have the true motion as far as the path that it's following it is a structural motion. Okay, in other words, the structural position leads it to a very smooth, natural motion, least amount needed to generate that maximum amount of force. If you think of it this way in a sports perspective, like, right, you have people who try to muscle it, maybe a 300-pound guy who's really strong tries to swing a golf club. He's very strong, but he can't generate the maximum force necessary. Basically, he can only hit it maybe like 150 yards. But then you have a tiny person who swings and has a true motion. He can drive it 200, 250 yards, way further than that individual. So you got to think of it in that perspective. Finally, a lot of times, defining the full true motion is actually the ending as well. Okay, every time you do a motion, it has to release the power. When we train in Wing Chun, like for example, when you see me do a demonstration, I chop, right? And it looks like, oh my gosh, he chops, he doesn't hit his opponent, so that power must still be contained here. No, we never contain the power. You're constantly practicing releasing the power. So when I go like this, boom, I'm releasing the power. When I punch like this, I'm releasing the power. If I'm half like this, I'm still releasing the power. You never want to hold on to the power. You want to know exactly how to release the power. And release power means that when I release the power, the structure can actually withstand it, right? It's almost like firing a gun. If you can't control the gun, you can't disperse the power from it. So in other words, it's here and then all of a sudden it flies out. You can't control it. So that's why you actually have to have the structural, secure the structure in order to actually release the power, okay? So you're looking at all these things that are involved with it. You have to be relaxed, right? You have to make sure that least amount, the path is correct, least amount, right? Least amount to generate the power, to generate maximum power. And then 3, you have to secure the structure, right? Secure the structure so that power can be actually dispersed. And the final ingredient, and I know I'm breaking this down in simplistic form, is it has to end up relaxed again, right? If you go like this, punch, and you hold that muscle in there, you won't be able to release the power, and 2, now you're exactly like that example I had with the 3 people running again, right? Right tension, 2 relaxed, 2 tense. Because if you don't release the power at the end of the motion, what happens? In order for me to move to the next motion, instead of moving right away to that next motion, I have to relax again and then move to that motion. So it may not seem like that big of a deal, but you will be a step behind if you don't have that true motion in play, okay? Anyway, let's just go over a recap and hopefully you can break this down fully for all of you to understand, right? If you think of it from opposite end of the spectrum, beginning to end, relax is the start, relax is the very end, okay? Then you have basically the path. You want to know the true motion, the motion as far as the least amount of muscle to generate the maximum amount of force, and 2, to secure the position so you can release the power, okay? So relax, right? Relax the power in the relax the position to send it off, the path, secure it so you can release the force, and relax again. That in essence is the true motion of any technique. It doesn't matter what technique it is, that's exactly what you're doing. All right, hopefully I can pull this off. I have some stuff planned for the month of July for you guys on YouTube. If you haven't done so already, Kirin Rise Facebook, 100% free, tons of videos there. Premium if you want to join in and really take it to the max level. If you haven't joined us in Facebook, I do some lives there every so often, so you're welcome to join us. But anyway, thank you again for subscribing. Click like, comment, whatever, and I will catch you next week. All right, don't forget, find your Gung Fu.